Okay, so I'm going to get you guys started on statistics. If you've already started, no big deal. But if you haven't, I just kind of wanted to guide you through it. It's not like compact. So compact, we had a static method. With statistics, the data would be our instance variable, so the actual array. So here we are. I'm going to create a new project. And I am going to call it statistics. And I'm going to create a new Java file called statistics. And then I will create another Java file called the tester class, or statistics tester. Okay. I'm going to put my main method here in the tester class. Which you should all be comfortable with at this point. Okay. So over here, my assignment for the lab is right here. I'm going to take a look at it. And so we're going to have three methods, a mean, a median, and an average, which is the mean, the median, and the standard deviation. Okay, so we already know how to find the average. I'm going to go over here. Well, and I know that my instance variable is going to be an array. That array is going to be some data points. So let's say, I think they wanted... trying to look for the type. It doesn't say, so I'm going to use a double. The reason why I'm going to use a double is twofold. Lots of times we have data that comes in doubles, so like in decimals. So I'm going to use that just because I think it would be more universal. And the second is because it's going to calculate better. But let me look here at my... Oh, so here it looks like we only had ints. It doesn't really matter as long as you learn to cast or remember to cast. So maybe I'll do ints because it says ints. And I will say, I'm going to call my instance variable data. Because that's what it is. So now I'm going to make my constructor. And I'm going to take in an array of ints called my data. So now remember, data, my instance variable becomes my data, and that will be instantiated in the tester class. I'll do that right now so that you see. So the very first thing I'm going to do, and we don't really need user input for this. So I can call it data. I can really call it whatever I want, but I'm going to just hard code in some values. Why don't I just use these values so that I can check? So 7, 4, 5, 9, 10. 7, 4, 5, 9, 10. Remember, this is one of the ways that we can fill an array. And then I will make a new statistics. We'll call this stats object, and using the new operator, and it takes the parameter of the instance variable data. You can see I spelled this wrong. So there we go. So here I made my object stats. It has this array. So now this array has become this array once I run the program. So I have three methods. They all return a value. They're all going to be double values. So public double. I'm going to call mine mean. You can call it average if you want. You're going to have another one that's called public double median. And the last one's going to be public double standard deviation. Okay. You see here that none of these take an instance variable because they're all using the instance variable of the array data here. So here I'm going to create a double mean. I'm going to start it at 0, and then I'll return it so that it has something to return here. Same here. I'm just going to copy and paste this, but I'm going to change the names to make them more meaningful to what I'm trying to do. All right, so for the mean, I'm not really going to go through how to do this. You guys can do that. I'm going to say that you need a loop to add up all of the data. And then after your loop here, you would need to divide by the amount of data, which I'm not going to write here, but it's also the length of the array because that's how many elements we have. Okay, now for the median, what we need to do is we actually do need integer division here. So the median is the middle number. If it's odd, the median falls. So let's think about this. If it's odd, if I have, what do I have? 5 elements here? Do I have 6 elements here? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is an odd one. And so this is the median, the very center number. So if we look at this, it's odd. It would take 5 divided by 2. If we did that integer division, because it's about the halfway point, we would get 2, but we actually want 1 more of the value. So it's plus 1. If it's even, it's just the middle value. So I'm going to write that here. So for arrays with an odd number of elements, we need half the length plus 1. So it's that middle number. For arrays with an even number of elements, it's actually easier. We need half the length. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to find out what that half is, and that middle element will be your data. Now, what we need to do though first is we have to put our data in order. So how do we do that? Why don't we make a method here called sort? Public. It's going to just sort. So we're going to call it void because we're just going to sort our data. So let me think about this, whether or not I want to actually sort the data itself. I think so. Okay. So the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to have a temp value that's going to be set to the first element in the array. Okay. So here's my first value. Oh, it's got to be 0. Duh. Okay. Now I'm going to say for int I becomes 0, I is less than data dot length. I might change this to length minus 1. Yes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to compare. Let me think about this if I want to. No, I can just do data dot length. And I'm going to start it at 1 because our temp is already the first element. So what I'm going to say is if, okay, think about this. So if data at I is, I want to make them from least to greatest. So if data at I is less than temp, what's going to happen is temp is going to become, no. Temp right now is holding data at 0. That's right. So temp will become data at I minus 1. Let me think about this for a minute. I always have a little bit, it's a thought process. Sometimes I have to write it down. So if this is temp right now. So then I'm going to make temp this value, and then, no, I want to make temp the bigger value. So temp will be the bigger value. Then this will become that. And then temp will become this. So I'm swapping them. So I'm going to say temp is going to become, because I want to move this. So if data at I is greater than temp, okay, temp is going to become the bigger value. And then data at I will become then the data piece I'm on will become, no, data at I minus 1. So I'm going to replace this now because I've saved it here. So I can replace it with data at I. And now temp can become, well, temp can stay where it is because it's still the largest value. But I need data at I to become temp. So I believe that will work. I can print out my array to see. And it's going to go through the length of the array and it will stop at the length. And since I have I minus 1, I'm not going to get, I have 1 minus 1 is 0. So I won't get a, I'm not going to get any sort of index out of bounds because I'm still up to the length and I'm only going 1 less than the length here, and 1 minus 1 is 0. So because I'm a little bit nervous about what I did here, I'm also going to print this out, but I will comment it out later because I don't really need it except but to check. So here is code for printing. My data. So I'm going to go over here and I'm actually going to run my data sort. So I am going to say stats.sort. And we'll see how this does or if I made any mistakes along the way so far. You know what? I'm going to run this in a minute. I know that this time is going to run out. So I'm going to pause this video, make another one, and run it.